Gotta make sure you stay hydrated in the summer, guys. It's very, very, very important. What's up, guys? I'm back, and I thought that today it would be fun to talk about stupid things that I've done for cosplay, because I've done a lot of stupid things for cosplay, and I feel like that's just a universal thing with cosplayers. Very few of us have the mindset of like,
wow, personal comfort, making good choices. I'm gonna totally prioritize that above everything else.
Nobody thinks like that. We're just that attached to fictional characters that we will sacrifice our personal comfort to portray them. It's dumb, and we always regret afterwards, but we keep making bad decisions. So we're gonna be talking about those bad life choices today. I have a whole list here. We're gonna work our way down. I'm gonna try and prioritize them from least stupid to most stupid, but you know, honestly, a lot of these things are super stupid, and the really sad part is I'm looking at this list, and while some of these things are things that I will not do again, and I've learned my lesson, there are things here like these are from situations that took place years ago, but I still do a lot of these things. So growing up, getting wiser, I'd never heard of it. Let's get into the list, shall we? First stupid thing that I've done for cosplay is I've eaten hairspray. And you might be asking, how do you eat hairspray? Why would you eat hairspray? It was an accident, it was not deliberate, but it did happen, and I feel like it was worth sharing. This was back in, I think, 2012, and this was actually my first con ever using hairspray on any wigs, so that's how far back we're going. Thing was, I hadn't quite learned yet that when you spray anything around your face, that product's gonna go all over. So, you know, nowadays when I spray my hair, you know, I always like cover my face, or I make sure that my eyes and my mouth are closed, but back at this point I hadn't yet learned that. So I was cosplaying Simone from Gurren Lagann, and here's a picture. That's how small and inexperienced I was, and I was doing the little V shape, you know, like this part, you know, like this that he has in his hair. I was spraying that to get ready to go to the convention. I was in my hotel room with my parents, and I was really excited, so I think I just had like a big grin on my face, and I went to hairspray my hair, and basically my mouth was open. And the hairspray went like straight into my mouth. The thing about got to be hairspray is that it smells like kiwis. It smells wonderful. It smells sweet. It smells refreshing. It does not taste like that at all. Like, I can still remember the taste, and the taste was so bad that I was honestly really afraid that I had poisoned myself. I legitimately thought that I might die from this, and I was freaking out to my mom, and I'm asking like, oh, do we need to call like poison control center? And she's like, no, you haven't poisoned yourself. You were just stupid. She didn't say that, but she was obviously thinking it, and she was asking me, she's like, why did you eat hairspray? I'm like, it wasn't deliberate. I didn't know it was gonna go into my mouth. So close your mouth, close your eyes, cover your face when you spray your hair, because hairspray does not taste good. It does not taste nice. 0 out of 10, would not recommend. Moving on, the next bad life choice that I've made while cosplaying is not testing body paint enough before a con. I've done a lot of body paint in the past, like a lot. I was in Homestuck back in the day, I cosplayed Adventure Time on multiple occasions, I've cosplayed Steven Universe on a lot of occasions, and I have done Undertale. So I've done like all the major fandom cosplays that have to do with body paint. Am I good at body paint? No, absolutely not. I have so much to learn because body paint is hard. Yeah, anyway, that being said, this is still a fairly recent story. This was around the time when people were talking about how great tag body paint is. Up until that point, I always used Schnazaroo for my body paint. And like, Schnazaroo is good in many cases, but it does not last long. So I thought, oh, absolutely, like, I'm totally down to upgrade to tag. And so I ordered a whole bunch of tag, and it arrived in time for the convention. And when it came to testing it, I decided just to swatch a little bit on my arm and seal it and see how the color was, and that would be it. That was all I did, and I thought this was enough, partly because I have so much experience using Schnazaroo, so I know how it behaves, I know how it dries. It is a water-based body paint, and tag is also water-based body paint, so I thought, you know, they're both water-based body paints, it will be fine. It was not fine. So I get to the convention, and before that I had done a cos test for Undyne. I just on my face, and I just used Schnaz for it. And I didn't think that, you know, maybe I should use tag as well, because tag might behave differently. I thought body paints were going to behave the exact same, and spoiler alert, they dry so differently from one another, and blending makeup into them is completely different, and it was really bad. And basically, long story short, I had a panic attack doing my makeup on the morning, and my makeup really did not look nearly as good as I wanted it to, because I had done that original cos test. I was really happy about how it came out, but then at the con I thought I looked like absolute garbage. And I still think that I look like garbage, but like at certain angles I look kind of less like garbage, so any sort of new product, you need to try it like a lot more than just swatching it on your arm, basically. Do a full cause test of your body paint, because that was just not a fun time at all. The next stupid thing that I've done for cosplay is something that I still do for cosplay and probably will do, even though I'm kind of more careful about it, I'm more conscientious of it. It's something that I'm gonna probably always be doing, and it's just always gonna be a bad life choice. I'm always gonna regret it, but what can you do? This is wearing non-season appropriate clothing. It's hard because when I cosplay certain characters to conventions, I want to make sure that that is the character that I'm like most, you know, excited about. That's the series that I'm most into at the time, and that might work with whatever weather there's going to be, and it might not. So where I can, I try to make it so that I'm wearing like as season appropriate clothing as I can, but like sometimes ultimately, you know, it's gonna be the middle of summer and I'm gonna be wanting to wear Tracer and I'm just gonna have to suffer for it, I guess. I think probably the most extreme examples of this actually come from my first year of cosplaying. That summer I was cosplaying Maka Albarn from Soul Eater. Look how young and impressionable and inexperienced I am. That cosplay had about 3 layers to it. So it had like the blouse, it had the sweater vest, and then it had the long black trench coat. And I wore this to Anime Evolution in Vancouver. Anyone who went to AE that year knows that that was the year that Vancouver had this crazy heat wave. It was like the most intense heat wave that they had had in years and years and years, and it was awful. And I actually ended up getting heat stroke, so I couldn't even cosplay on the last day because I was so sick. Bad life choices. Going on the cold side, it was New Year's Day 2011, and a bunch of friends and I decided to get into our Vocaloid cosplays and go out for a photo shoot. And I was cosplaying Rin. Again, here I am. And we were out in the middle of winter. Everybody else had like actually season appropriate clothes, and then there was me. And it was so cold that there were actually frozen puddles. Like all of the puddles where we were shooting were just completely frozen. I had to go through some of the photos that we had taken and actually Photoshop my hands because they were so discolored from how cold it was. That's how bad it was. Oh my gosh. Ugh. But I mean, since then, I've still done it. So there you go. We'll see how this summer goes, because actually all the cosplays that I want to do actually involve a lot of layers. So this is just a bad life choice that I'm gonna keep making, I guess, for the sake of the emotional attachment that I have to various fictional characters. Next bad life choice is something that I don't do anymore. Thank goodness. Back in the day, it was what everybody did, and this is mostly because, I don't know, mostly because we just weren't really informed. This was just kind of the norm, but when it came to binding, everybody used tensor bandages, which are like the long fabric-y bandages, and you would wrap them around your chest really tightly and then safety pin them and hope for the best. Nowadays, luckily, there are PSAs everywhere about how you should never use ace bandages, you should always use a binder. Binders are really easy to find nowadays, which is awesome. So anybody who needs to bind, they know how to do that safely, which is really awesome. But unfortunately, back in the day, I don't know if binders had even been like invented, I'm not sure. I just remember people didn't know about binders. They weren't readily available. And I remember when people first started using them, it was like, whoa, what is this like new fandangled technology? So yeah, we would always just run around with ace bandages, and it's super unsafe to bind with ace bandages. So yeah, looking back, it really seems like the dark ages, and it's crazy to think that that's actually something that I used to do. Goodness. Anyway, so I'm glad that binders exist. I'm glad that people use binders, and I'm glad that people know not to use ace bandages because, oh man. So the next stupid thing that I've done for cosplay is obstructing my vision. And I guess like when I say that, I don't really mean that obstructing my vision was a bad choice, because it was necessary for the cosplay to be accurate and there was no real kind of way around it, but I really should have been better prepared. Like I should have practiced wearing the eye patch beforehand. This has to do with Undyne yet again. And if you don't know Undyne, she wears an eye patch, and so I had an eye patch. I remember wearing it around the house a little bit and thinking, okay, this is fine. And then getting to the con and being like so totally unprepared to be wearing the eye patch for a whole day. Because the thing about, if you're not used to wearing an eye patch, your depth perception is just, it's gone. It's gone. Like you could walk into a wall, right? If you're not used to it, it's a really huge change. And I honestly should have known that. I should have been smarter about that. I should have worn it around the house more than I did. I think I just wore it around for a few minutes. It's like, okay, this is fine. Then I got to the con and I was like, ooh, not fine. So the last one on this list comes from kind of probably one of my most uncomfortable cosplay experiences ever, and that's why I've saved them for last, because this experience, I mean, I had a wonderful day doing this cosplay, but I was also in such a crazy amount of discomfort and made so many bad decisions doing this cosplay that just, it deserves to be at the top of the list. So anyway, all of that being said, the next stupid thing on this list that I've done is using medical body tape for cosplay. And you might be asking, what does that mean? I'm gonna tell you. Nowadays, if you need to adhere anything to yourself for cosplay, like if it's a gem for Steven Universe, or like maybe rhinestones on your face or whatever, you can use things that are meant for that won't wreck your skin, like liquid latex or spirit gum. But back in the day, I didn't have access to those things, so I just decided to use medical body tape. This was for my Pepper cosplay from Iron Man, the comic book version, because we do not talk about the cinematic version in this house. That's a rant for another day, but anyway, very important. This is the comic book version, not the cinematic version, because I have a lot of issues with the cinematic version. But anyway, I was cosplaying Pepper, and in the comics, she has her own suit. She's kind of like a female Tony Stark a little bit, in the respect that like she also has a little arc reactor, and she has her own suit and stuff. So she basically has this light stuck to her chest. And to do that, I bought this light from the dollar store, and I decided to use medical body tape to adhere it to my chest. And it worked really well, like it stayed there, right? And by medical body tape, I mean the stuff that like you use to stick bandages, I guess. Like it's tape that they use to stick bandages to your skin. I mean, it worked super, super well. But I knew at the time that it wasn't gonna be fun to take off, but you have to understand this was 2014. This was 2014. I was super, super big into the Iron Man comics. I loved Pepper a whole lot, and I just really wanted to do this cosplay. So this was for Emerald City Comic Con. I decided this is probably a bad choice, but like I can't think of anything else to keep this on, because I mean even then like spirit gum probably wouldn't have been strong enough to keep it up. So like either way. So yeah, I spend the whole day with this light stuck to my chest, and I go to take it off, and of course it was painful to take it off. The skin was super raw, and I had glue on my skin for pretty much like the rest of the weekend, if not further into the week after I got back from the convention. Like I just remember that whole patch of skin was just like, why are you doing this to me? It was unpleasant. It was unpleasant, but like ultimately I guess I feel like it was worth it, but it was still a really, really stupid thing that I really shouldn't have done, but I did anyway. But you know, honestly, I do plan on wearing that cosplay again, and I am probably going to use the tape again, because I mean it worked really well. It just left my skin feeling really raw for days afterwards. So that brings us to the last thing on this list, the most stupid thing, which I think a lot of people are gonna hear this and be like, that's not the stupidest thing you've done, but it kind of is. I don't know. And it's something that a lot of cosplayers do, and I think like finally I've learned my lesson about this. It's like I avoid it. It's gone to the point where it's just out of the question, but this is wearing the wrong size shoes for cosplay. Because if you're a cosplayer on a budget, you probably go to thrift stores and you might find the perfect shoe, you know, for like a really good price, and it's maybe like just half a size too big or too small, and you think, no, I'll work with it. Like, it's perfect, it fits into my budget. Like, you know, and how bad can it be wearing a shoe that's the wrong size? Spoiler alert, you're gonna be walking around a convention the whole day. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be really, really bad. And I finally learned this after years and years and years of wearing shoes that were too big or too small and just ruining my feet. Of course, you're at a convention, you wanna have a nice, fun, comfortable experience. You need to be able to walk a whole lot without being in pain. And so, that's why I look back on my past experience and I just think, you know, you could have found a good shoe that was just as perfect, but you just decided that, you know, it's only like one size off, it's gonna be fine, and it never is. So but yes, this again has to do with Pepper. This was probably my worst experience wearing shoes that were the wrong size. I found these cute little black high heels, and they were for a really good price, and they looked perfect. I was totally sold, but they were slightly too big for me. They were like half a size too big, and so I thought, you know what, I'll just stuff them with foam to make them fit. And so I did, but that made them too small.
You know what, it's gonna be fine, like at least they aren't slipping around my feet. Like who cares if they're a little bit too tight on me?
As soon as I walked out of the car, we were going to Emerald City Comic Con, as soon as I got onto the street to go into the convention, my feet were on fire. It was awful, and I was just like hobbling around. I could not walk in these shoes at all, and like somehow I hadn't figured out this was like a bad choice on my part, so I spent the whole day at Emerald City Comic Con wearing these shoes that were too small for me, right? And if I take it out the foam, they would have been too big for me, so they just were the wrong shoes to use. And I just remember my feet being on absolute fire the whole day. It was bad. It was bad. It was and I just look back and I just want to slap my younger self. Like, they're black high heels. Like, you could have just found black high heels in your size, but no, you didn't. You just but I mean, on the bright side, it didn't make my day bad, but like, it was super, super painful. To me, that is like the biggest, stupidest thing I've done for cosplay, but luckily I don't do that anymore, and I encourage you guys not to do it either, because you deserve to have a fun time at your convention, you know, and anything you can do to make your cosplay more comfortable, you should do. So that is my list of stupid things that I've done for cosplay, and I feel like this is gonna be the first of multiple videos, because, you know, if you check back with me in a few years, I'll probably have a much longer list. There will probably be new things that I've discovered that are stupid that I can do for cosplay, and just make bad decisions. Anyway, that all being said, I'd really love to hear from you guys. What stupid things have you done for cosplay? I'm sure any cosplayers watching this, which is probably most of you because it's a cosplay video, so like... So anyway, I'm sure you guys have all done stupid things. I'd love to hear about it. We can commiserate together. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all next time, but until then, fan faces, please be sure to take care and make good life choices. Goodbye!